Welcome to my vlog.
Oh yeah, welcome to Shadow Palms Vlog. It's a party up in here. Party all day, party all night. Come on, join the fun. Subscribe. Show 'em what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay, welcome back. And yesterday I told you about what my plans were for this series of vlogs. I also showed you a couple things I was working on, the heads for the zombies and whatnot. Told you I'd do some tutorials, and I will. First, what I'm going to do though, I'm going to show you a couple more things that I've been working on. Here are a couple ghosts that I've been playing around with. The characters that you see, the actors, if you will, are actually done in Daz 3D. So I'm going to talk about how to download that and all. I'll do that in a little bit. And then modified them in different software that we'll be talking about as well. But what I want to do today is basically, before we get started, is I just want to talk about some of the software that I use basically in general, and where you can download them. A lot of them are free. Now some of them aren't. Now for the ones that aren't free, I've tried to find some substitutes that are free. So some of them are open source or free, and they're awesome software, awesome programs, good to download, learn how to use them. So in some of the tutorials I'll be using stuff that I use that may not be free, but they're at each time I will tell you about the free alternative that you can try, and usually you can pretty much get similar, if not the same, results. So we'll go ahead and do that as well. But first, let's take a look at some of the stuff I've been working on, and please leave your comments. Let me know if you think it's good, or you think it's crap, or if you think I can make it better. Because remember, I'm kind of learning as I'm doing this too. So hopefully you can learn from my mistakes, or if you know a better way to do it, please say, hey, I know a better way to do this. Dude, you suck. Now I'm lazy, so I might not follow your advice if it's, complicated, because I'm one lazy dude. But otherwise, if it's cool, then I'll do it and hopefully share it with everybody. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the stuff I've been doing. Okay, now on these I still need to add the sound effects. This one, I went with all of them actually. I went with sort of a green tint. I thought that looked a little scarier. The sound effects, of course, she'll scream when she jumps out at you. Now this one's just a real simple pirate ghost walking across the screen. I want it to be kind of subtle. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put that in the haunt. And then this one is a pirate ghost that, as he stands up, turns into a skeleton. If you look closely, he kind of morphs into a skeleton there as he points at you and then fades away. So as you can see, they still need quite a bit of work. Not quite sure if I'm real happy with all of the animations yet, but still working with them. You might want to go with something like a blue instead of a green. I just went with sort of a green. I don't know why. I was thinking, sea pirate, and just, I don't know. Just like the green just kind of jumped out at me. Thought it looked kind of eerie. But like I said, you might want to go with a blue. Blue's a little more traditional for the ghosts. But you can see where I'm going with it. So the possibilities are endless and kind of fun to do. Not that hard. Didn't take that long. And so hopefully I'll be able to use a lot of my own stuff. Some of them, like I said, I'm going to purchase some ghost projection illusions. There's some really good ones out there. But I'm trying to make as many of them myself as I can, because I think it's just kind of, more fun. But you let me know what you think. Tell me if they suck or if you like them or whatever. I'll do a tutorial on how I did them. They're pretty simple, and you can do your own, modify them however you want, figure out how you want to do it, because I'll show you how to do it, and then you can just make your ghost doing whatever the heck you want your ghost to be doing. Now you'll notice in the background of all of those, I go with black background. The reason for the black is because then basically everything's invisible. Whatever's in black, you're not going to see when you project it. And that's important, especially when you're doing the facial animations and the heads and all, because you don't want to see this white around it, this square around it. You just want it to look like that's the only thing that exists. And the same thing with the ghosts. Now, what I want to do now is just go over what software I use so that we're all on the same page if you're trying to follow along, or if you're, doing your own thing, whatever, just so you know what I'm working with. Now with 3D, for the 3D, which is what I use for most of my models and all, because, I'm far too lazy to go out there and make friends, so I don't have a lot of people to act in them. So So I usually use, plus the 3D models, they don't yell back or anything, so you can get them to do whatever you want. So I usually do use 3D models. I think a lot of times it's hard to get the motions realistic if you're doing live people, but when you're doing ghosts or skeletons or zombies or monsters, it's real easy to do because you can get, there's a lot of suspension of disbelief there, so you can get away with a lot. So your animations don't have to be perfect. Now, the software that I use for those are, I use Blender, which is a free program, and I'll put the link to Blender. It's at www.blender.org, and you can download Blender for free. Now, the problem with Blender is it's awesome. It's got physics and everything, so it's really a great program, very powerful, but there's a huge learning curve on it. It takes a lot of time to learn, but the good thing is there's tons of tutorials out there, and they've a lot of great people out there that would love to help you with it. A lot of tutorials. The other thing I use is Carrera, which is Daz's professional level. It's okay. It's a large learning curve, and it's a little more on the pricey end. But when you're talking about 3D software, it's not that bad. It does have physics, so I like that. Mostly, though, a lot of this stuff I did just straight in Daz Studio, which is free. It's awesome. It's easy. You can get it from daz3d.com. Download it for free. Most of my models I buy from Daz. You can get a lot of free stuff from Daz, and then, of course, their whole thing is you download the software, you get addicted to it, you love it, and then you buy a bunch of models. And they do have a lot of models ranging from cheap to really expensive. They're having sales all the time, though. And there's a lot of free stuff out there on the net. If you look around the web, you can find a lot of free models that you can download and use for what you're doing. I also use Poser. I have Poser 10. Now that is not free. That's it's not too expensive. There's Poser 10, Poser Pro. Poser Pro is pretty expensive. Poser 10, not too bad. So again, those are just some of the 3D software I use. But the free versions that I think will get done, what you need to get done, is Daz 3D. Fairly easy to use. There's a lot of help out there, a lot of tutorials you can find, and it's free. And Blender, a lot more powerful, but a lot more difficult to use. But again, huge amount of tutorials out there to help you along the way. So that's what I use as far as the 3D goes. Then you're going to need some video editing software. Now I use, right now, matter of fact, to record this and edit this, I'm using Movie Plus X5, which is an older version. They have X6 out now. But X5 you can get for like $30 right now, I think, to purchase if you don't have a video editing software. And it's pretty good. It's pretty powerful for what it is. I mean, I also have Sony Vegas, which is the one I usually use, and that's my main one. That's a professional level. It's kind of expensive. Well, actually, it's not too bad. A few $100s, but it's really good software. There's some free stuff out there, versions out there too. With Blender, you can even do some video editing in, although I haven't played with that at all, but I have seen tutorials on it. So I know you can do that. Another video editing software for free is, I just found it today. I was looking around, and it's, DaVinci Resolve, which is their light version is free. And I haven't played around with it, but I hear it's pretty good, and it has some special effects and all you can do. And you can get that from blackmagicdesign.com/products/DaVinci Resolve. So, and the light version is the free version, so you want to try that. I haven't really played with it, so you might want to try that. But anyway, you know, most of you probably already have your video editing software for doing your vlogs or whatever you do with it. So, you know, it's probably not an issue for most people. But like I said, you can get, you know, from Serif, you can get the Movie Plus X5 for $30. Pretty cheap. So that might be an option for you. The other thing is you're going to need sound editing software. Sound editing software, really, I use the Sony, which is, you know, you pay for. But I also use Audacity, which is free. And Audacity is awesome. As far as sound editing goes, it's really nice. And the reason I use the sound editing is because when I do my voiceovers for like the zombies or whatever, it's nice to be able to go in and shift the pitch so that it sounds, deep and kind of scary. You can also shift it for a higher pitch if you want something else. So it's important to be able to play with sound a little bit, especially if you're doing this stuff all yourself, because you don't want every voice to sound like yours. So Audacity, you can get that from sourceforge.net. So it's audacity.sourceforge.net. And it's free and it's awesome, and there's a ton of tutorials out there to tell you exactly how to use it. Highly recommend downloading that. Even if you're not going to do this, it's just great to have that audio editing software on just lying around in case you ever need it. It's a great software. So that's about it for now. For special effects, like with my ghost, you saw some of the ghosting effects and all there. I used After Effects. Now, After Effects is kind of an expensive program for doing special effects, around $1,000, I think, if you buy it outright. Now, I have a membership with Adobe. I think you can get a membership for just After Effects, or maybe a few other programs, for $20 a month, I think it is. So that's not too bad. But I did look around and found an alternative for you, a free alternative. It's called Wax. And I haven't played with it. I looked at some tutorials, and it looks like if you played around with that, you could actually do a lot of the things that you need to do to get a ghost effect. But I'll put the link to that on my on the comments. So I'll put links to all these on the comments so that you can just find them easily. Okay, last but not least, I've got one more piece of software for you that is really good. It's for video mapping, which is going to be really important and really neat. I have to apologize. I know this, if you're still awake, I know this vlog has been really boring, but I wanted to make sure that everybody who wanted to do this and play around with this would have the software and be able to, get the software. And I didn't want price to be an issue, so I wanted to try to find some free software for you, for anybody who doesn't have the software already. So I apologize for this being so dry and so boring. The later ones will be more interesting. I just had a lot of information I wanted to get out there today. So, but anyway, the last, drum roll, the last program I have for you today is called VPT7. And it's a video mapping program, again, free, awesome program. The website I'll put up right above me now so you can see that. Again, awesome program. I'm going to be using that later on in one of the tutorials where I'm using some mapping. I'm going to be doing a tutorial later. I'll show you the video of it in the next few days, where you can actually do a three-dimensional graveyard on your desk with one camera, or one projector rather. It's kind of cool with the video mapping, what you can do. There's some cool stuff, and that's on a small scale, and you can do it on the house, of course, large scale, whatever you want to do with it. But anyway, it's called VPT7. Awesome software. So check that out. And again, that's for mapping. So again, really sorry about how long and boring this one was. They will get a lot more interesting. Tomorrow is my anniversary, so I don't think I'm going to be doing a vlog. But the day after, we'll start with an actual tutorial. I know this one was just telling you the different software that I use and to what to expect in these different tutorials. But we'll get started in the actual tutorials. But again, remember, I'm learning as I'm going, so I'm going to screw up. Well, I'm going to screw up anyway. I always screw up. But so please leave comments. Say, hey, there's a better way to do this. Because I could use that, and it would be very, very helpful to me. Because like I said, I'm learning as I'm going. What I'm doing here is just putting down things as I'm doing it. So I'm going to be making some mistakes, and I'm going to be screwing up. And hopefully you can watch me screw up so then you don't screw up. Also, any software, if you're familiar with any software that I didn't leave out that you think is really great software that'll do the stuff I was talking about, please leave it in the comments so that everyone can see that and download it. That'd be awesome. All right, if you have any questions, as always, just leave me a comment. And that's about it for today. I was a little long-winded, and I know it was really boring, and I apologize for that. The next vlog will be a lot more interesting. All right, thank you very much. Please remember to subscribe and leave your comments. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Later, dude. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe.